Hello, I'm Michael Holmes, welcoming you to Inside the Middle East, coming to you from Qatar on the shores of the Persian Gulf. This was once one of the poorest nations in the region. Now it's among the wealthiest. Oil and, more recently, massive natural gas reserves helping to transform this former pearl centre into a booming example of the modern Middle East. And Qatar is also becoming something of a political power player in the region as well, recently helping to broker a deal between various factions in Lebanon. Quite an achievement. And those ties with Lebanon go back as well. It was in 2006, after the war with Israel, that this country helped pay to rebuild 4 entire villages in southern Lebanon. And the philanthropy goes farther afield as well. It was the Emir of Qatar who pulled out his checkbook when Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in the United States. And the check he wrote was a big one. Here's Jim Clancy.
They were pulled to safety through rooftops.
We've got a rescue in progress. The United States Coast Guard just pulled this man off the roof.
The old, the young, rescued from Hurricane Katrina's rising floodwaters. It was the late summer of 2005, and the city of New Orleans was desperate.
I am from Qatar. They don't know where is Qatar, but of course now we are well known.
Half a world away, one man watched these scenes unfold on satellite television and was stirred into action.
When I saw this and I saw people family losing their children, nobody knows where they're gone, the water going inside to school, to houses, to hospital, no electricity. You know, if we were in that position, of course, we know what the tragedies could be.
Qatar's Emir, Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, responded. His nation, rich in oil and gas, is credited with giving one of the largest single recovery packages to New Orleans and the Gulf Coast.
He has made a difference. In Qatar is an interesting country that has lots of resources, and they're one of the few that really came forward early with a $100 million commitment. My hat's off to him.
The mayor isn't alone. 2.5 years after Katrina, the people of New Orleans and the Gulf region gave Qatar's visiting Emir standing ovations. At Children's Hospital, a young patient crafted a personal thank you note.
Hello. What's your name? Okay.
Children's Healthcare is a major beneficiary of the Qatar Katrina Fund. But Adam, who has spina bifida, was more curious to know why all the TV cameras were following this towering Emir.
Why did you all this camera people?
They like me.
The genial Sheikh Hamad has lots of new fans in a city where most people admit they never heard of the nation of Qatar.
I have not.
I haven't either.
No, I can identify with $100 million, though. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think the big millionaires in New Orleans ought to do something.
You know, you live in like also in a ghost town, and it's so hard. Yeah, we need people like that.
Sheikh Hamad not only wrote a check for $100 million, he carefully divided those funds between education, healthcare, and housing, hand-picking schools and charities to put that money to work. The final move, this personal visit to see for himself how projects like a $12.5 million pharmacy wing at Xavier University are faring.
I just want to ask how how the students returning to their schools, to their universities, how the system of health is going. Is it good enough to give care for the people?
Hurricane Katrina shut down many colleges and wreaked havoc in students' lives. Ariane Gilliot and her family lost everything in the storm. She's back in school with the help of one of more than 2,000 scholarships paid for by Qatar.
It's amazing the generosity that people have to just step up and say, look, you need help and I'm here, I can do it, let's do it.
That attitude may have encouraged Ariane to do what she has avoided for more than 2 years, a return to her family home in the 9th Ward.
This is where I was.
used to be my grandfather's room when he was alive, so it meant a lot to me.
Even though she hadn't been back since the storm, she knew what happened.
There was water all the way up to the top.
All that remains is a shadowland, a skeleton of her childhood home. The waters receded, the memories remain.
And I just remember so much about this house from being a little girl. It was still his.
Ariane isn't alone. The Amir and the people of Qatar have helped rebuild many lives. Ask Rodney Hart, the Gulfport, Mississippi resident, lost his apartment in the hurricane. Today he owns a new home and can boast of his personal visit with Sheikh Hamad.
It was very thrilling because, you know, I didn't expect all those motorcades like that. You know, I thought he was the president.
Just down the street, the volunteers from Habitat for Humanity are working on another home. Together with the owners, they've poured sweat equity into the project, building as many as 20 houses in a week, all with the help of money from Qatar. Sheikh Hamad strides onto the work site for a closer look, exchanging handshakes and congratulations.
Well, I really hope that our gifts went to the right places and to see a good result out of it.
You realize it's going to affect people for the rest of their lives. Your gifts.
Well, I'm happy to hear this.
Mayor Nagin tells us it will be 5 or even 10 years before the city of New Orleans completes the rebuilding process. It's about people, he says. People like Taylor, Michaela, and Seychelle, 3 little girls who lost their father in Hurricane Katrina. In one way or another, Qatar's generous support for their city will affect them someday. It will affect everyone. Jim Clancy for Inside the Middle East, New Orleans.
Behind me there, Abdul Qadir practicing his moves before heading off to Beijing to represent his country in Taekwondo at the Olympics. And he's going to be the first Qatari ever to do so in that sport. So congratulations to him. But not every athlete gets to train in an air-conditioned facility like this. After the break, Jill Doherty introduces us to an Olympic team who worry about a lot more than facilities and finances. To them, sport can literally be a matter of life and death. That's coming up. Stay with us.